Oh, hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Chad Prather Show. It's, oh my gosh, Wednesday already. It is hump day. Hope everybody's having a great one. Thanks for joining us on the Chad Prather Show. And also thank you for joining us on Dear America this morning. That's what I was trying to say yesterday, boys. I like for you to be here with all of us, man. It's just one great big old happy family, and we just run our mouths a lot. There is more headlines coming out than I can possibly keep up with. I spent most of the night between my bedroom and my bathroom because I don't know. I don't want to call anything norovirus or whatever, but I think I've got all the symptoms for it. But it's whatever. You know, it's just like, just push on through it. Let's rock and roll. Hope you guys are doing well. Love to see some. I think most people kind of migrated over to Chad's Rumble page. That's what I'm seeing in the chats. I got both of them pulled up, both Graham's and mine. You're welcome in either place. And, we would love to see you throw up some American flags in the chat just to let us know that you're here. And let's go ahead and get that algorithm triggered and let them know that that we're here. We are here. We are alive. We are well. And, you know, I want to go ahead and bring the boys on because I want to make a point about something. So everybody's producer, Royce Chamberlain, is in the house. There he is. Da-da-da-da-da. Look at that flag. He's got that American flag back there.
I've got American flag.
I got the American flag. Mine's a wooden flag. Yours is actually a flag, right?
It's cloth, yeah.
It's
None of
cloth.
that vinyl crap. None of that vinyl.
Nah, we don't believe in all of that stuff. And then you see Bobble Chad back there. He's kind of hiding. You see Bobble Chad in the silhouette. And then, of course, Party Foul Steve is in the next room. Let's bring him on. He's got...
Hey, I need some Marine Corps hymn like music coming on when I...
You need some, you know, Iwo Jima music?
Yeah, I need some Iwo Jima music. I got the flag back here somewhere. Which side? That side.
It's the other side. Everything's backwards, Steve. That's my American flag home plate right there that you got behind you.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah, it's a home
the
plate.
wrong way.
Yeah, Steve can't think backwards. He's left-brained.
I'm kind of forward thinking.
Dude, there's so much stuff that I want to talk about, but that's what we love that flag, man. I can't, you know, I love that flag. I'm reading some stuff here, dude. We're going to get into today. We're certainly going to talk about the Donald Trump Gaza statements. What I know about it right now, I was listening to a little bit of Carolyn Levitt in the press conference today. I understand what they're trying to say and what they're trying to explain, but boy, that is slippery, slippery, slippery. We'll talk a little bit about that, but then I want to talk to you about what I believe is the greatest scandal in the history of American media. We're going to get into that in regards to Politico, so if anybody wants to, you know, brush up on that ahead of time, I'd love to hear what you think in the chat. It is dirty. You know how we've always said that, you know, you always wonder, like, who's watching CNN or MSNBC? They were always in the airports. And I never could understand why the airport, we would go in the lounges, right, Steve? We would go in the airport lounge, airline lounge, and they never had Fox on the TVs.
CNN every
time. It's
time.
nothing but CNN. And I was sitting there going, why would you just have that one deal in the lounges? I think we're starting with this USAID thing. We're starting to see why. Because they've been propped up with this...
Same thing with the cruise ships. You go on a cruise ship, that's what you get, CNN.
Now, I haven't heard anything on CNN yet, but I'm going to make a prediction that at some point in time, very soon, that they've been paying it because we're starting to see this stuff come out with Politico. We'll get into the details of that. But, man, I think they've been propping these people up and making sure that they're the ones who are in the front of everything. And because now you see the ratings of CNN, it's dismal. We saw that MSNBC, their ratings dropped by 55% after the inauguration. And then Andrea Mitchell has now resigned. So we're going to start seeing these people just kind of fall off the truck at this stage. And I'm okay with it, man, because it's like Tim Pool said. He said it'd be funny if after USAID is shuttered, tons of news outlets just go belly up. The staff at Politico, and I'm ahead of the game, and I'm okay with that because we're going to break it down later. But the staff at Politico did not get paid for the latest pay period. The company just sent several emails to employees saying it believes there was a technical error looking at how to fix the issue. Hang on.
Ooh, get that nasty stuff out of you.
That's not norovirus. That's just me allergic to something in here. I think the dog peed in the room. But I think we're going to start seeing a lot of all this stuff falling apart. I want to go ahead and say to Broke Craker 2, she put a super chat in there for $1. I don't want to miss it later. Wonder if USAID is funding all the bot farms. Okay, so you know how you get on Facebook or whatever, and all these fake accounts are on there, and people fall for scams and things like that. And then you have the bot farms like that, the people who are doing all these things, and you're like, why doesn't why doesn't Mark Zuckerberg just get rid of those and just wipe them out? Because he's making money from it. They're all making money from it. That's why they don't get rid of it. If they can classify you as disinformation or misinformation, surely they can identify when somebody's a fake account, that's trolling everybody with only 2 followers. But they don't get rid of it because they're all making money.
Yeah, they sure don't. I reported one yesterday because you had somebody that's been messaging someone and saying it was you. It was not you. Of course, the things that they were saying were stuff you would never say. It's eventually leading to asking for money, kind of thing. So
we've seen
I
crazy.
reported it, and they did nothing. They just said this. They basically couldn't do anything.
Yeah, people always say, you need to report this. Reporting it does nothing. Y'all don't understand because they're funded by this. And I think you'll find that the funding ultimately comes all the way back from stuff like USAID. The only thing I can do is if I see them, block them. But they're out there by the tens of thousands. If you follow me on TikTok, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of fake Chad Prather accounts out there that will troll people, and it's annoying. It's annoying. I've had people get scammed. I've had people show up at my shows thinking we were dating. I mean, it's wild stuff. Not just once, many times. And you wouldn't think that people would fall for that, but people aren't quite ready for the internet in some cases. All right, let's talk about our friends over the Super Bowl's coming. I want to talk about that as well. The Bet Online, our friends over there, betonline.ag, they have some fun lines with the Super Bowl coming up. I know some of you are not interested in betting and stuff like that. You just relax, take that deep breath. I like our friends over at Bet Online. They're good dudes, they're cool guys, and they got, what's the line there? We're seeing blow up on that line right there, Kansas City Chiefs and Philadelphia Eagles. What's the spread? What's the money line on that thing? Zoom all the way in there, Royce. Let me see those numbers. All right, it's looking pretty even right now. The money line.
I don't know what any of this means.
Well, the money line has the Eagles a little more favored. The spread is -1 +1. That's a pretty dadgum even Super Bowl.
Tight game. They're saying
pretty
it's going to be within a field goal.
Yeah, basically. I think it's going to be pretty tight. I'm headed out to Vegas. We go out to Vegas for the Super Bowl every year because we entertain out there, and the hotel that we entertain at has a big party. And so it was me and my, year before last, me and my white butt and my cowboy hat sitting on the couch with Cool and the gang watching the Super Bowl. You never know who you're going to run into, but everybody that entertains out there, they invite them back. So we go. But no, they got, it looks like zoom back in on it a little bit, just a little bit. No, on the teams, over on the teams. Scroll over on that thing. Oh, okay. They got the Chiefs. The Chiefs are favored. I had it backwards. Chiefs are favored on that. So I couldn't tell who was who. All right. I'm blind. I'm telling you. The norovirus has made me blind. I've puked my eyeballs out. But go over to betonline.ag. Check them out. But more specifically, go over there and check out their politics section. It's pretty cool. If you scroll down in the menu about 2/3 of the way, you'll see their lines on what's happening with the Trump presidency and confirmations and when this is going to happen or that, we don't know. So anyway, it's fun. Just go check it out. And for those of you who do play, check them out. Get involved with them. They're fun guys. betonline.ag. Okay, brother. Let's talk about Trump. This is something that when he said it, I go, last night he had this great meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu, and I'm always thinking, Royce, I'm like, the press conference is always going to come up afterwards, and I'm like, what's he going to say? Because I got a feeling that every time Trump holds a press conference going forward, it is going to ignite a wildfire. So Peter Doocy, we talked about this.
He's let loose. He's like a fire. He's let loose.
Well,
now.
He's not running for office again.
Gone.
So, yeah. I mean, he doesn't care. And he's still in fight mode, and I can appreciate that. But take a look at what Peter Doocy asked this morning. That should put the whole thing to bed about whether Biden was the one to be accredited with the ceasefire and the release of the hostages. Play it.
President Trump, I work for Prime Minister Netanyahu. We have heard Joe Biden and Donald Trump take credit for the hostage and ceasefire deal. Who do you think deserves more credit?
I think President Trump added great force and powerful leadership to this effort. I appreciate it. He sent a very good emissary. He's helped it along. And, I'll just tell you, I'm happy that they're here. And I'm sure the president is happy that they're here. And I would think that's about enough.
I gotta say, though, the fire maker that they have at the D.C. now is not as good as Biden's. Whoever was making Biden's fire was a menace. They probably sent him to California. I don't know. But this fire is not as roaring.
I have to assume that that's cold pyro. That's got to be cold pyro.
That looks real.
It's got to be a fake fire. No, I mean, it's something burning. But I've said that during the Biden administration. I was like, that fire back there would smoke you out of the dadgum room. Like, it would burn you out.
I feel like I'm one of those that don't trust Netanyahu that much. And I feel like if Joe Biden would have been sitting in that chair and they kind of asked the same question, he would have said Joe Biden.
Well, I don't know. That's interesting. I don't think that they would have asked that question.
They wouldn't have asked that question.
Peter Doocy certainly wouldn't have. And I like it when he goes, I think it was President Trump. That little pause in there. I was like, what's he going to say? It was President Trump.
He wanted to make sure he said the right name.
Yeah. I mean, these guys are politicians. Obviously, Bibi and Don are buddies, right? They've been buddies for a long, long time, which, again, makes me a little bit, I wonder about how things are going to go. No, I don't trust Netanyahu either. I don't trust Israel. I don't mind. I don't trust Israel. Listen, and for those of you, we got into it a little bit this morning. On Graham's show on Dear America, talking about, listen, regardless of what you think about Israel and their place in eschatological history or where they play out in God's plans today, regardless of what you think, even when in the Old Testament, when God referred to Israel as my people, there were times, most of the time actually, when even though they were his chosen people, even God didn't agree with their government. God gave them a government in King Saul that he didn't want to give them, but they cried out for it to the point where he gave them Saul, and they realized how bad it could be, and then ultimately they wound up with David, who was God's actual anointed. So for us to sit here and talk about Israel, everybody almost takes that like a kind of thing where it's like, oh, it's like off topic. You're not allowed to criticize. No.
Yeah,
Go ahead. If you're going to say it, say it.
No, I'm just saying that people do get offended if you say anything that sounds negative against Israel.
Yeah,
and
I stand with Israel.
Anybody, I'm talking about on the the biblical side of things. If you you got to call out what's if it's wrong, it's wrong.
Well, and again, this ain't an episode to dig into all that kind of stuff. We can do that. But Israel, Georgia. America. Where did Georgia come from? America and Israel. And I was thinking about the nation of Georgia, not even the state of Georgia. But anyway, America and Israel, they've run a pretty big duopoly across the globe for a long time. There's no denying that. Israel, I think if you boil it down, is behind a lot of things that you and I would consider evil. I think Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent. I know that Ghislaine Maxwell's father was. We could do a deep dive into all that stuff. These guys are about number one. They're about number one. I promise you, in that room yesterday, Bibi Netanyahu and Donald Trump were not sitting around and trying to figure out where Israel fits in God's prophetic scheme. That's not what they were doing. They're looking at geopolitics. They're trying to figure out how they can have the most might, how they can have the most wealth, control the most of the globe. It will be their way or the highway, and they will be able to run things. That's what they're thinking about. They're not sitting around thinking about the return of the Lord. You might be thinking about that, but that's not what they're talking about. That's not what they're thinking about.
Power and control. And if we don't take power and control, someone else is.
At the end of the day, Israel is still ran by human beings who are born into sin. It's not ran by God. Whether or not, truth be told, that is holy land. Biblical things happened on that land. But it's ran by human beings who live in the 21st century and are going to make those kind of decisions. They are not prophets. So they're inclined to make mistakes and to do evil things. Yeah. They're allowed to because God gives us that choice to, including them. They are not, unable to commit crime because they live there. That's not how it works.
Right.
And the people who argue that are the same people who think that Donald Trump can do no wrong, as if he's God. He is not God, and he is perfectly capable of making bad decisions. And it's our job as American, not just American citizens, but logical human beings, to point those out when someone that we entrusted to put in office, doesn't make the decision that we like. We need to be able to call it out. And so when Israel makes a choice that we don't agree with, we need to be able to say that's wrong and we disagree, and not just be like, whoa, that's Israel.
Yeah.
We have to defend them. No, if they're doing evil stuff, they're doing evil stuff, and we've got brains in our head, thank God. We should be able to see that it's wrong and evil if it is.
Yeah, and now more than ever, we need discernment. I mean, when I was doing different campaigns to educate people in the last year or so about the reality and the evil nature of Hamas, there were people who were saying, oh, you're just on the tit of Israel. And I was like, no. Actually, I can talk about Hamas being evil independently from talking about the virtues or the vices of Israel. At the end of the day, geopolitically, they are our ally in the Middle East. They are a strong ally. We've made them strong. They've made us strong. But at the same time, we all know that a lot of these terrorist organizations exist because we've funded them. We grew them up to overthrow different governments. We're a mess, dude. Our government is corrupt. Their government, we're seeing just how corrupt our government is. But I am always cautious when Netanyahu comes in here and there all of a sudden it's going to be this almighty America/Israel plan. I didn't vote for Make Israel Great Again. I didn't vote for that. I'm voting for Make America Great Again. I want America first. That's the policy I want. I want us to put America first. And I just think that Israel can mop up their own mess. I think that they can handle what's going on in Gaza. God knows. I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to clean up Gaza. And I have
not.
As much empathy towards civilians, and that's the whole thing. What about civilian women and children? Civilian women and children have been dying in wars for a long time, long before us, and it's not that we're not sympathetic towards that, but there's no finger you can snap and make that just go away. Man's inhumanity to man has always been there. We got to try to make heads and tails, make the most out of it, but at the end of the day, we got to root the corruption out of our own country if we can, and then try to make America great. And if we can't do that, then it's all going to fall apart, and we're going to be under suppressors and other people anyway. So, my faith is first and foremost in my Savior Jesus Christ. He is sitting on the throne. There are those around the world who reject him. There's people in America who reject him. But for me, my personal faith is in Christ. And he's not, as I've said many times, he's not subject to the 25th Amendment or impeachment votes or the assassination's bullet. He is the king. Christ is king. And ultimately, I believe that one day everybody's going to bow to him and they're going to confess that Jesus is Lord. And if you don't like that, then, that's between you and your God.
So hearing all this, I take it that you're against the casinos and strip clubs in Gaza.
Well, if they set it up, we'll see what happens. I can remember, the Western culture, and there's another thing. Well, I won't get into that. Western culture, when it infiltrates, obviously, it has a lot of garbage that comes with it. I can remember being in Dubai, and I was in a hotel in Dubai, and I'm walking down the hallway, and I get to the end of the hallway, and up against the wall, there's one of those little half-circle tables with a chair, a nice armchair on either side. On one side was a prostitute sitting there in the chair, and on the other side, there was a woman fully dressed in a black burqa. And I said, this is Dubai. It's where the Middle East and the Western culture collides on itself. And so, this is why those like Hamas and others out there would say that we're the great Satan, because we've intermixed our faith with a lot of things that they perceive as very worldly. And that's why they don't want to win you over. They want to eradicate you. That's why Hamas is evil. And these pro-Palestinian kids that want to come out there and swing their flags around and act like they would be okay if they were to go to Gaza, they wouldn't be. Do these people have a right to be people? It's arguable depending on which people we're talking about. Hamas, no. Hamas doesn't have a right to exist. They don't have a right to exist. They need to be eradicated from the face of the earth. If Israel is the tool whereby that happens, then that's the tool that happens. Now, Trump comes in and he's going to make a statement, and he's going to say that America's going to come in and we're going to take over Gaza, and we're going to take it, we're going to use it, we're going to do all the stuff, okay? Everybody it sounded like he was going to turn it into Club Med. He was going to displace the Palestinians that were there. A lot of nuances to that concept. But there's a reason why places like Jordan and Israel shut their borders and said, nope, you're not coming in here. You guys not coming in here, because they already know what those folks do when they show up in your land. So Trump says we're going to take over. Just play the clip. Let's see what he said.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years. The U.S. will.
So basically what Trump is saying, and again, it's hard to say what Trump is saying because there's a lot of details. There's a lot of questions I would like to ask, and I don't think that Trump is going to show his cards. He never does. I've watched Donald Trump behave long enough over the years that I'm like, he does things in such a way that in a few weeks you come back and you go, aha, that's what he was doing all along. But none of us voted for this. None of us wanted this. I can't find a single person that says this sounds like a good idea. If Israel wants to go in there and clean up that situation, go in there and clean up that situation. I mean, it is in rubble, but it's not our job. They made it that way, and it's not our job to go in there and do Operation Cleanup. We're not the world police. We can't keep getting ourselves involved in all of these things globally while we have a mess at home, and we have a mess. I mean,
why can't we resettle all the Palestinians into Los Angeles? I think that would solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, and Miss Lovegood says, Gaza's a smokescreen. Come on, that's exactly what I said this morning when I said I think it's some saber rattling. What I think that Trump is doing is he's putting some rhetoric out there that's making some of the heads explode in the Middle East, from Iran to Saudi Arabia, where they're going, what is this guy talking about? And they're starting to lose their minds. But it sets them up for a position of power, and I think that's what I see emerging on this, because honestly, I don't think, let me just tell you, Israel, it wouldn't be okay with that being the 51st state either, okay? I mean, they truly believe that it is the land that God promised to them, and far more than that, far more than what they're occupying in their borders right now. But that Gaza Strip, Benjamin Netanyahu, I assure you, does not want to see that become another part of America. That's not in the plans. So for Trump to say that, I'm telling you, there's a lot more to it than just that. But listen, Jody 121 says we've been the world police for a long time. Yeah, you can take that all the way back and blame the worst president in the history of the United States, in my opinion, is Woodrow Wilson, because he introduced us to progressive stuff. He brought progressivism in, and he introduced that whole concept of being the world police after World War I. And it's not our job. It's not our job. It's not our job to sit in the Middle East for 23 years with no resolution and nothing but loss. And you go back to see how these folks, look at George W. Bush. There was no reason why 12 Saudis, again, I'm not going to get into the conspiracy, but there's no reason why a handful of Saudis flew planes into buildings in America, and then we went and attacked Iraq. There's no logic in that. W had to go out and settle daddy's beef with Saddam Hussein, and so he trumped up the whole weapons of mass destruction deal, and Hillary Clinton was for it. Every single person out there, they were for that war. They wanted that war, and you saw what that got us into for the next 20 some odd years. And from there to Afghanistan and everything else. So again, I don't want us engaging in more. We certainly don't need boots on the ground. I mean, I've seen the pictures all day long. I've seen the pictures of the rubble that is Gaza right now. I've seen that. It is horrible.
Yeah, and people were walking around in those dilapidated concrete buildings and stuff, and kids play it. Yeah.
I mean, hey, if you want to follow the money, there's trillions of dollars of oil underneath the Gaza Strip. So, there's that aspect to it. But I understand getting paid back rare minerals from Ukraine, or the defense purposes of a Greenland, or even the economy purposes of Canada. But we don't need to be setting up camp in the Middle East. We just don't need to be doing that.
No,
we just don't need to be doing that. So
there's a reason that we came over to this side of the world, that we crossed an ocean.
Yeah. Also, America is called America because it's in North America. So
Yeah.
We can't bring North America to the
Yeah.
Middle East. That doesn't make any sense.
And you will not, I'm just telling you, you will not go in there and do what what some of people are supposing Trump is saying. You will not go in there and do that without massive casualty and loss of life.
And it would be just continuous.
Yeah, you just won't happen. Ms. Lovegood, I've been to Israel numerous times. I was scheduled to be there back in July and wasn't able to do it because of a scheduling conflict. But I've been to Israel numerous times. I've been all through that part of the world, and I love the visits there. I love the people there. Again, you have to separate the citizen from the government that's in a place, and you have to. We don't have all the answers. We don't have them here in America. But whether it's the mainstream media or the social media keyboard warriors or the people in Washington D.C. or the State House, I don't go out and have dinner with those people every night, right? I go out with actual citizens, people, and there's good people around the world. I've visited with them. I've visited with them in the Middle East. I've got friends that are Muslims. We vehemently disagree theologically, obviously, and I've got friends that are Jews. Just a point of trivia: Bert Rosenthal, that I went to high school with, he was my college roommate at the University of Georgia, and he went on to be the president of the Jewish fraternity there on the University of Georgia campus. So trust me, I've been around. I got a lot of friends that are Jewish, and again, you have to be able to separate all those kind of little nuances. But the politicians, I'm telling you, they ain't coming to your house for dinner. I don't trust any of them. All right, Caitlin Collins, let's pull that thing back up there. They said he schooled her. I don't know that he necessarily schooled her, which Caitlin Collins, she's always asking for it. So anyway, this is what she had to say and how he responded about the Gaza Strip. Play it.
Let's go. Caitlin, go ahead. Caitlin.
Thank you so much, President Trump.
Caitlin,
just to
go
follow
ahead.
up on what you were saying there.
Say it. Go ahead, please.
Just to follow up on what you were saying about the Gazans leaving Gaza, going to other countries. One, where exactly are you suggesting that they should go? And two, are you saying they should return after it's rebuilt? And if not, who do you envision living there?
I envision a world, people living there, the world's people. I think you'll make that into an international, unbelievable place. I think the potential in the Gaza Strip is unbelievable. And I think the entire world, representatives from all over the world will be there, and they'll live there. Palestinians also. Palestinians will live there. Many people will live there. But they've tried the other, and they've tried it for decades and decades and decades. It's not going to work. It didn't work. It will never work. And you have to learn from history. History has, you just can't let it keep repeating itself. We have an opportunity to do something that could be phenomenal. And I don't want to be cute. I don't want to be a wise guy, but the Riviera of the Middle East, this could be something that could be so bad. This could be so magnificent. But more importantly than that is the people that have been absolutely destroyed that live there now can live in peace in a much better situation.
If he believes that is mind-bogglingly naive. I don't mind.
I don't think he believed. I think he was joking.
I mean, maybe it's Trump being Trump, but that is mind-bogglingly naive. There's no way tribes of Palestinians, which isn't even a word. It's not even a thing. That's just an umbrella term that we use for vocabulary to describe a certain group of people that live in a certain place. They're tribes. And these tribes are after the eradication of their opposing tribes. Hamas just happened to be the biggest, baddest, meanest one, forced everybody to vote for them to get into place, and now they run it. There's a reason why the leaders of Hamas don't live in Gaza. They live in Qatar. They live in Doha. They don't even live in Gaza. There's a reason why they don't, because they'd get killed. And so, here we go. They go out there and hide in the Western aspects of Islam in Doha. So, but I hope he's making a chess move. I don't want the Riviera of the Mediterranean.
I mean, if somebody else built it, I might would go. I haven't been to Israel in 30 years, so
I mean,
it'd be kind of nice to go back over and
we helped get some people out last year when they were bombing the dome, and they were, the flights were shut down, and I got a lot of friends that are over there quite often. You got to take the car you drive. Don't forget going out in Tel Aviv. Forget getting out on an airplane. Drive over to Jordan or Lebanon. It's a crazy. They listen. The Middle East, they don't think like we do. They don't believe like we do. They don't. You're not just going to say, oh well, we're just going to create little suburbs for the Palestinians and the Jews. And now I will say, the Jews, the Knesset does allow Muslims to serve. They are as part of the government. That ain't the other way around in Gaza. So. Israel has been the stabilizing force amongst those tribes. And again, it's to think that we're just going to go in there and we're going to build Club Med, or we're going to go in there and we're going to build Resort World. It's just that ain't. So anyway, that's enough on this deal. We'll see what happens.
Utopia.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about Trump saying you got to know your history. I do know my history, and I know that man's inhumanity to man has ruled over all of it. People aren't good. They are inherently sinful. They are evil by nature, and they conquer one another. Napoleon Bonaparte made all of his soldiers carry a tricolored map in the three colors of France's flag that showed France covering the world because he wanted global domination. The Caesars wanted global domination. All roads led to Rome. They conquered everybody. That's why I laugh about people saying, well, Jesus was a refugee. No, actually, Jesus never left anywhere that was the Roman Empire. He only lived in the Roman Empire his entire life. And then the Greeks took over. Alexander the Great, by the age of 29 years old, had conquered the entire known world by the time of that age, before he was even 30 years old. These people, we don't think like we do. This whole melting pot society that we've created, this assimilation where everybody gets along. Rodney King, can't we all just get along? No, we can't. They beat the hell out of you with batons, Rodney. I mean, you can't just get along. So I trust that Trump, just like with this plane crash last week, Trump knows things I don't know. And I'll just submit to that. I've watched him long enough to know that I'm Trump first and foremost. I love him, love his family. I've been a big supporter for a long time. And I trust that he knows a lot more than me. So anyway, I hope he's got a plan. I see what you said, Jennifer 980. He must have a plan. Boy, I hope so.
I think he does.
Yep.
Yeah.
Waiting for the other shoe to drop anytime.
We'll see. I just know that he's a provocateur, that's for sure. And every time he gets in front of that, press corps, buddy, he's going to say something that we're going to be talking about. That's a fact.
I do like it that it has both sides kind of stirred up, so it kind of gets everybody going.
Well, I'll tell you, the Suez Canal. Oh gosh, what's the other canal there that they could take over and they could basically get away from the Suez? It's the was it Rafah? No. Oh gosh, having a brain fart. But trust me, there'd be a lot of money that potentially could be made. But that ain't. I ain't willing to risk the life to go over there. No, absolutely not. America first. All right, guys, I want to talk to you about this. Is interesting. Like I've never had people partner with my show quite like this company. And I asked them, I was like, what do you guys want to accomplish by being a sponsor of the show? And they said, we really want to get our name out there. I met these folks, fell in love with them. I think they're a great company. And I paid attention to what they were doing. They're West Texas through and through, and it's Allied Oil Field. Now, let me tell you what they do. We talk about the drill, baby, drill, and the oil being under our feet. Well, if you're in the oil and gas industry or even in the trucking industry and you need reliable top-tier equipment and services, you need to check out Allied Oil Field. They've been around for like 20 years, and they build these trucks. They build this equipment from scratch. If you can dream it up, they can pretty much do it. They got the high-quality oil and gas equipment. Their brand is found in every major oil and gas play across the U.S., premier oil and gas equipment manufacturer, and they provide products trusted by every major oil field nationwide. So if you're in that industry, I'd recommend my friends. At least talk about them a little bit. Let's get their name out there, Allied Oil Field. They're made in the U.S. They're built right here in the heart of West Texas. And you can visit AlliedOilField.com. If you're a trucker, you're in the oil and gas industry, visit their website, AlliedOilField.com, and find out more. And if you're interested, you can fill out a lead form, and one of their reps will reach out to you. I talked to them, and I fell in love with these guys, and I was like, well, this ain't a medical kit, that's for sure. They make their patriarch there, he created that truck. He created it. Like, that's their claim to fame, is he built that deal and the technology around it. And so Allied Oilfield, they're awesome, dude. They're just good people. And I thought, well, let's go sell some trucks, man. I'm all about it. But they can build any kind of equipment you need to get out there. I love that, man. So I drill, baby, drill. AlliedOilField.com. All right, pop something. We got to have the oil, and we got to have a way to transport it. We love the oil. It's fantastic, especially in Texas. Texas is amazing. And they're nationwide, by the way. Pop something else up there. Pam Bondi, she got, I don't know what else you got there in line, Royce.
J6?
Oh, yeah, hang on. I do want to talk about that. But Pam Bondi, she got sworn in. This is an interesting story right here. So a friend of mine sent me a message. These are 6 J6ers. They've all received pardons, and they're not being released. Now, most of these guys are in Florida. They've all received a federal pardon. They have the paperwork. You got Dominic Box, who is one of these guys. That's he's up there. Dominic Ball. I'm sorry. He's got like a DUI in Duval County. I mean, these guys are. I don't remember in Florida of all places. But there's no reason to be holding him.
So you think there's some state charges or something that they're holding them on?
It doesn't matter.
They could have beat somebody up in jail or something.
I don't know. They won't give any answers on these guys. Gotcha. The people who are trying to help them do wellness checks and things like this is pissing me off, because the people who are trying to do wellness checks on these folks, these individuals, they've received full federal pardons. The paperwork is in. Dominic, the guy above right there, he has now been in, listen to this. This is what's weird. He's now been in 4 federal prisons since his pardon. That's what? No, I had the name right. Dominic Box. 4 federal prisons. So that's not a state deal.
No, they could be on psychiatric hold or something. You never know.
But you don't know. We don't know. We can't find out. He's in Tallahassee, I think. There was the friend of mine went to the parking lot and was trying to talk to somebody, and they chased her out.
Oh, my God. This guy's from Ocala, Florida. That's where I grew up.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are people that are out there asking questions. They're chasing them off, claiming that they're a danger. Excuse me. The people that are trying to find out the information, they're calling them a danger. And said, I'm considered dangerous to the staff of the prison. She's got it on tape. She sent me clips. She sent me clips of it, of her talking with these law enforcement officers. And like that disturbs the ever-living mess out of me right there. These guys, I mean, you need answers, dude. I mean, you can speculate all day long, but if you got a federal pardon and you're still holding these 6 people, and most of them are in Florida, of all places, we need to get, we need to hear something from Ron DeSantis on this deal.
Yeah.
Because again, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I was going to say, if they were on some type of medical thing, then you have HIPAA violations and stuff like that. You can't even talk anything about it.
Yeah. So I'm
not defending the state of Florida or the government. I'm just saying we don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. So I'm looking, man. I'm trying to see, because I don't know. But they're shuffling these people around, dude. This is not good. But nobody's talking about this thing. So anyway, there he is. We're talking about it.
Chad Prather's talking about it today.
I'll let you know whenever we find out more about it. What's next? What do we got? Boy, oh boy. This is what I was alluding to earlier. This is the largest, in my opinion, this is the biggest political scandal, media scandal in the history of the United States. The only difference between Politico and Russia's Pravda, which was Vladimir Lenin's newspaper. Pravda, of course, was Russian for truth. It wasn't. It was propaganda. The difference between Politico and Pravda is Pravda knew it was propaganda. So this is USAID stuff. Total awarded amount from 236 transactions. Politico, it's a news site. It's a news outlet. $8.1 million. Now, my buddy Jason Howerton, go back up to his tweet. And let's explain just a little bit about that. What he said on that is he said, having been in the media business, I would wonder how many of these outlets are staying in business. Now it makes perfect sense, as I was alluding to earlier with CNN, which I don't know about CNN yet, but you're seeing 8.1 million. Those were basically the government subscribing to Politico. Now, if that doesn't raise your antenna a little bit, the government is subscribing, keeping them afloat, subscribing. And you know how I know that this is crooked is because those subscriptions started as soon as Joe Biden took office. They started in 2020. Now go to the next slide. It gets worse than that. My friend Liz Wheeler over at The Blaze. She has done some deep dives. I encourage you to go follow at Liz Wheeler, at Liz_Wheeler. Politico scandal's worse than you think. It's not $8 million that Politico received from USAID. It's $34.3 million that they received from various swampy federal government agencies. Politico is without a doubt a totally corrupt propaganda arm of the swamp. Take a look at it right here. $34.3 million. And it started. Tell me why in the world. I mean, can Dear America Media get some of that cheese? I mean, can we get some of that cheddar? What's up? I mean, we're out here talking all day long. Why don't we get some of that stuff?
You ain't saying the right stuff.
No, we're not. The federal government used them. And let me make it even. Let me piss you off more because you should be pissed at this. Like, you should be pissed if the swampy federal government, particularly the Biden administration, is throwing tens of millions of dollars at a so-called independent news site like Politico. You start to understand why Politico and some others started getting pissed off when they said, we're going to rotate them out of the press briefings and bring in some others like OAN and Newsmax and Breitbart and, all those guys. You start to see why they were pissed off because they're used to having an office in the Pentagon. They're used to having an office right there on site. And they say, oh, what do you mean you're going to rotate us out of there? And by the way, don't even get me started on Sinclair. Would you see that right there? Sinclair Media. Now, Sinclair Media owns, I don't know, like 4,000 different media outlets across the country. That's why you get into that deal where you see somebody reading a teleprompter and then across the country they're reading a teleprompter and it's identical words because Sinclair sends out all of that stuff and they're reading their propaganda on the teleprompter. And so, this is, it gets smarmy, dude. It gets real smarmy, but I want you to go to the next slide. Here's what ought to super piss you off, and it is this right here. Politico was the one that the Biden administration solicited the laptop letter story to. Politico got the exclusive on this deal from the Biden administration, the Biden campaign, to be specific. This was before he was president. Look at Politico. Jen Psaki said Hunter Biden story is Russian disinfo. Dozens of former intel officials say. That was published in Politico. Jen Psaki, of course, went on to be the press secretary. Politico, Hunter Biden story is Russian disinfo. Dozens of former intel officials say. This ought to tick people off right here. So now we see that this is why those 51 former intelligence officials, this Politico article said 50, but we now know there was 51. They lied signing that letter, casting doubt on the provenance of the New York Post story. Dude, it's dirty, it's swampy.
They're all getting paid off.
Everybody's getting paid off, man. I want to know. I want to know about Fox. Let's be fair. I want to know all of them. I want to know who the hell is getting propped up.
It's going to be interesting because they're going to find more. I mean, we're just a few days into this.
And go ahead and plan, folks. I think you're going to, we saw what happened a couple of years ago when Fox went swampy. I mean, they got bought out. Disney became their boss. ABC Disney became their boss. The Rupert Murdoch's kids took over. They got real swampy. All of a sudden, they got rid of Tucker Carlson, and so on and so forth. We saw what happened. I think you're going to see that Fox has gotten this kind of money. I think you're going to see CNN, MSNBC, just like these people are out there protesting in the street. I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, how the hell does The View still stay on? I think we're starting to answer our own questions of going, who watches
we are
The
answering
View?
the question. Nobody watches these programs yet. Here they are generating money.
Yeah.
I say generating, receiving.
They've been lining their pockets. Dude, and people want to call me a grifter. I love that. I mean, people want to call me a grifter of all things. This whole deal, this is why we're the media now. X is the media now. People getting out there talking about it, discussing about it, and having the conversations, disagreeing and trying to come to the bottom of it and just waiting it out in a lot of cases. These guys have been propped up the whole dang time. So, frustrates me, boys. It frustrates me because we've been... I'll tell you this, it frustrates me and it also encourages me because now we're sitting in a point in time where we've had all these questions and we wound up with conspiracy theories. Who's watching The View? Well, nobody. But now we start to see all these different things were being propped up. Who reads Politico? Who the heck reads Politico? They're gone. They're done. Yep. They're out. I mean, Politico's done. They're done for. They ain't got that government tit no more.
I think so, yeah.
They're done.
I mean, I think you're not wrong. We're going to start seeing all of these news agencies. It's going to come out that they've all been bought and paid for, which we've known for a long time. I'm pretty sure that the same guy who owns Fox also owns CNN or something like that.
They're all in bed together now.
They're all owned by the same people who are telling them the same things. And the point of it is to stir the pot. Nobody wants to tell you the truth. They just want to tell you what one side wants you to know versus the other to create division. Because that's what these political campaigns and these administrations thrive off of, is the division.
Right.
Right? That's what creates war, division. And that in turn makes them money. And that's all they care about.
Boy. I like reading the chat.
Speaking of Jen Psaki, though.
Yeah, this is one I can go off on, too. Is Jen Psaki says, well, play the clip. This is fun. Play the clip.
Because what's happening right now is a hostile takeover of the U.S. government. There's no other way to...
Let's just take a moment to appreciate that spray tan, though.
Yeah.
It's pretty dark. It's pretty dark.
Describe it. It's happening clearly across our justice system, where just a few hours ago, a deadline passed for FBI employees to fill out a questionnaire detailing their involvement in January 6 cases. In other words, they were asked to fill out basically a loyalty test. That comes after an unprecedented purge of the FBI on Friday night, when the Trump administration forced out top FBI career officials, multiple FBI field office leaders, and a number of DOJ prosecutors who worked on January 6th cases. Tonight, I'm going to talk to one of the prosecutors who was fired on Friday. His name is Jake Strubing. He was back at the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. this morning, where he was escorted to his office to pick up his things, drop off his computer, his phone, and his credentials. This is going to be his first interview since he was fired. He has a lot to say, and he's going to be at this table with me in just a moment.
Yeah.
But of course, as you all know, it's not just law enforcement where there is a hostile takeover of the government.
Yes.
And it's not a takeover at the hand of Trump alone. I mean, this takeover is also happening at the direction of his unelected best friend, Elon Musk. His latest target was the United States Agency for International Development. And that agency is the one that not only leads on humanitarian assistance around the world, but also works to combat corruption and foreign aid programs. It's a big part of what they do. I kind of see how that could make Elon Musk a bit uncomfortable. What do you think he did? You may already know. Well, he removed two of the top leaders of the organization who wouldn't do his bidding over the weekend. And then overnight, last night, employees received an email ordering them not to come into the office today. They weren't given a reason or any sort of rationale. They were basically just told not to show up. Many were even blocked from the system and locked out of their email accounts.
That's what happens when you get fired.
Yeah, Jen Psaki, that's going to happen to you very, very soon. If you're listening, you're going to get that exact same email, those exact same orders. Leave your phone, leave your laptop, don't come back, you're locked out, you're done. It's going to happen very soon. Yeah. Two, I'm sick and tired of them talking about Elon being the unelected How many people voted for Kamala Harris to run for president?
None.
Zero. Nobody.
Well, who is it? George Soros's son? What's his
Alex.
name? Yeah, he is like literally was everywhere in the Democratic Party. You're telling me they weren't sucking up, getting money, and all that kind of stuff. That's their. I guess that was their Elon Musk, but he wasn't doing nothing but writing checks or something.
Well, I can tell you, Queen Circleback here, she proved that she was an idiot when she was standing in front of the press corps. I mean, she never had an answer for anybody. Yeah, she can read a teleprompter now, but they're just giving her the information of what to say. This woman doesn't have an original thought, and she certainly isn't complex with them. So it's going to come for her as well because she was part of that corrupt administration. The corruption goes deep, 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 and these people like her, oh, yeah, you're going to have to give an account at some point in time, Jenny, and then we're going to see where you fall and how you feel. You're not going to like Elon Musk, whether he's elected, unelected, or anything else, because let me tell you something, honey, it is a hostile takeover. It is a hostile takeover. You call it a hostile takeover because that's what it is. It's a takeover, and we're pretty dadgum hostile. Like, you have called us everything. I just showed you 5 men and 1 woman that are still in federal prison that won't get out even though they've been pardoned. You've come after us. You've called us names. You have ruined people's lives. You have shared misinformation. You've propped up these crony puppeteers like Politico, and you, of all people, lied to the American people. And, it's a hostile takeover. I don't care what you think about Elon Musk. I keep hearing this adage tossed around, and I'd show you the clip where the girl drops the F-bombs too many times. It's a pretty great clip because she's pretty fired up, where she's talking about this is like you telling somebody that the bank robber is about to rob the bank, and then everybody gets mad at you for telling about the bank robber rather than getting mad at the bank robber. That's what we're talking about. Everybody's mad at Elon Musk for reporting the bank robbery. And they're like, what's he going to get out of it? Well, who cares what he gets out of it? I tell you what I'm going to get out of it. I'm going to get some transparency out of it.
Accountability.
And some accountability and hopefully some
money
consequences.
back in my pocket.
Yeah. Because there's no reason why every single one of us shouldn't get a full, absolute dadgum refund for every penny we've ever sent to the government. I'm just telling you. We make enough money in this country. We've sent it all over the world. I mean, $20 million to Iraq so they can have a Sesame Street. That's ridiculous. I don't need to see towel-headed emo. Like
Any
nobody
amount
does.
that we've sent to Ukraine, $177 billion.
Yeah, and it's far more than that.
Just
I
think
guarantee you.
about
That's just the
all
number
the-
they're using.
Probably.
Yeah,
All the American people that could be sent to college with all that money.
they won't talk
there
about.
wouldn't be any student loans. There wouldn't be any of that. There's plenty of money.
There's plenty of money. We should be the richest nation in the world.
Well, the truth is, we are. We just have horrible people managing our money
Right.
or embezzling it, washing it. You know what I'm saying? But on top of that, if they would focus just an ounce of the focus they've been putting towards these other countries, if they put an ounce of that focus on America, the California fires, I don't think would have happened. We would have had water in California if they paid attention and actually cared. They don't care.
I think the water's there now.
I think they're getting it there now that people care. But there's a lot of stuff that could have been avoided, a lot of stuff that could have been handled better if we allocated the money and the patience and the time to it. But no, they're too focused on other things, and we've gone too far down the rabbit hole of complaining about the transgenderism and all these different rights and the BLM movements and all that stuff, and going crazy over pandemics that wasn't really a big deal. It was a flu. Oh God, let's shut down the whole freaking world. I don't think so.
I love it.
So
Common sense is taking over.
it's frustrating because common sense is coming back, but at the same time, we thought our eyes were opening in 2020 and all that stuff. But now that Trump is back in office, now that we're seeing where all this money went to and the bull crap that they were spending it on,
He's ripping those blindfolds off.
dude, it is driving me personally crazy. Like it sucks to see too. It sucks to see
anybody
that they were doing that.
The most impoverished people, the most impoverished communities in our country, they ought to be the most pissed off. But what do they do?
Because our federal government's taking money from poor people to give it to other poor people in other countries.
And not only that, they've kept them on just enough on the government tit, just enough to keep them voting Democrat all these years, kept them on the proverbial plantation. And that's and they're enslaved to the government taking I've been around the world, dude. I've seen the worst poverty. I've seen the most lavish wealth. I have, and we should be operating way better in terms of how we're living here in this country. But we've taken care of the rest of the world. Now, listen, I understand that we are in a global society. There are some things that you have to do to keep peace around the world and maintain strength, and also we do want to be humanitarians. That's one thing, but it's not humanitarian for me to be concerned with Tunisian tourism. That's not humanitarian for me. Mm-hmm. So, be humanitarians, that's great, but that's not what we've been doing at all. All right.
But you get to choose who and what your money's going for, not just a big blanket.
Well, here's the thing to that point, Steve. If it's a government for the people and by the people and of the people, then you're right, because they're picking and choosing without any accountability how they're going to do anything. So if suddenly, XYZ politicians in Washington, D.C. says, okay, we're going to go in and we're going to go to war and we're going to put boots on the ground and we're going to rebuild Gaza, we're going to lose life, and we're going to spend money. The American people, if we were truly, we truly have not been a representative government in 100 years, I think. It's been a long time. Because the American people should say, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. But again, these politicians with their so-called delegated authority in the Beltway of D.C., they don't listen to the American people anymore. See, we've been run by a corporation. And if people would ever wake up to realize that this being ruled and run by a corporation for so long, this is not what our founding fathers intended. This is not a representative government. We're being ruled by a corporation. Israel is a corporation. America is a corporation. All these other deals, all they're doing is lining their own pockets and keeping their greed and their power completely healthy and intact.
America's what, almost 200 years old? Something like that. 250? 250. Yeah. And it's been corrupt. It basically, the American experiment fell apart like 100 years ago, like you're saying. Yeah. And I think we're coming back around, but it fell apart and went into the hands of somebody else, corrupt politicians.
Let me tell you how stupid we are. State of Texas, right here where I am. So go follow my friend, State Representative from the Waxahachie, Texas area, Brian Harrison. Brian's one of the good guys. Let me tell you, Brian's got some interesting X posts going on right now because the State House legislature is in session. We have the sixth worst property taxes as a state in the nation. Fifth, sixth, that changes all the time. As far as metropolitan areas, we have the number one worst property taxes in the country. Texas gets screwed by property taxes. So rather than face a bill that would reduce Texans' property taxes, you know what they did yesterday? They made sure that rather than deal with property taxes, they made sure they dedicated a day in Texas to honor Beyonce.
Is that a joke?
No.
You mean the famous country music singer? Is that who you're talking about?
The Grammy Award winner
that one
for
that's
the
never
country
heard on the
album
radio
of the year. They took the time, rather than deal with property taxes in Texas, they took the time. Now, again, Steve will tell you, I bark up and down. Steve's driving my truck. I need new shocks on the truck. We bounce up and down these roads. We live on the road. Steve will be driving my truck, and I'm like, man, I think you missed a hole back there. You got to go back there and hit that bump. We drive on the worst. We drive on the worst roads in the world right here in Texas. And I've always said, well, it's such a big state, there's a lot of roads you got to maintain. We have the 7th biggest economy on the globe here in the state of Texas. We're way bigger than even Canada. And we got these horrible roads, all these property taxes. People are going, man, if you don't pay property taxes, how are we going? Because we don't have a state income tax. Well, who's going to build the roads? Well,
nobody is.
Ain't nobody building them now. I mean, and then they'll tax you to be able to run a car up and down the roads that they taxed you on, and then break your car, and then you got to go pay to fix your car from running up and down the roads that you paid for them to build. And they're not going to deal with any of that stuff, but they're going to give a dadgum day to Beyonce Knowles.
Insanity.
I think Texas should tariff the U.S. government, actually, for all the oil that's coming out of Texas. Get some of that money back.
Bro, we send billions of dollars to Washington, D.C. And then there are people who say, well, Washington, D.C. sends you what? Hang on, I got to sneeze again.
Sneeze. Get it all out. Get that nasty stuff out you.
Falling apart. Help me, Jesus. Help me, Jesus. We'll sit here and we'll build these high school. We'll get these deals going and these bonds, and they'll go out there. You ever seen a high school football stadium in Texas? They got high schools here in Texas that look like the food court at the mall for lunch, man. The cafeteria they got Chick-fil-A's in them and everything else. They got stadiums for their football teams to play on Friday night, 12 times a year, 10 times a year, that rival most Division II college stadiums. And we're going to pay for all that stuff. You're going to have a referendum and an addendum and all these different things, and you got to pay for that stuff. And then, the roads suck. It's crazy, dude, the stuff that we're willing to put up with. And then going to sit there and pay that property tax, basically lease your property for the rest of your life from the government. And it's disgusting. And but Beyonce Knowles, the state legislature yesterday, which, by the way, the state legislature here in the state of Texas, even though it's a, quote, conservative majority, Republican majority, is being run by Democrats. Texas ain't the Texas that most Texans think it is anymore. It ain't a conservative state. And I saw right here where Donald Trump's about to meet with Greg Abbott, and I'm sure that conversation is going to go.
Yep.
So there we are. That's why I ran for governor in 22.
Well, speaking of stadiums, last thing we can talk about before we jump off here is the NFL is removing the end racism from the end zones in the Super Bowl.
The NFL finally solved racism.
We did it, guys.
All
it's
it takes
gone.
is a little white paint and it's gone.
I mean, it's gone. All you had to do is cover it with the white paint.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, that was good. That was
all
funny.
you had to do, man. I've been saying forever, man, we're better together if we could end racism. Thank you, Roger Goodell.
They got to talk about it all the time. That's what keeps the division going.
Yeah, but do you know why they're doing it? Why they're saying they're not going to put it on there?
Because Trump's going to the Super Bowl.
Because the current political climate, they said they're going to pull away from that. So that tells me that the BLM crowd and all that deal, you lose. You lost out. Because this was all because of George Floyd. This was all before, and people have woken up. They've awakened. They've seen what's going on. They've pushed through it. I'm so sick to death of. If you guys want to go watch my buddy Officer Tatum, Brandon Tatum, he's doing his comment about what Stephen A. Smith said on ESPN about every time they say DEI, they're talking about a white workforce. No, we're not. We're talking about people doing a job that aren't merit-based. And I saw that, what's her name, the race baiter out there that said, they came against BLM, then they came against CRT, then they came against woke, and now they've come against DEI. So why don't y'all just say it? You're coming against black. No, we're not. We're coming against nonsense like this that you guys spend your money on to do this stuff, and it does absolutely no good whatsoever.
If the first thing in your mind, that pops up when you see DEI is black, you're the racist.
You're the problem. It's just like when they got rid of monkeypox because they said, well, and then they came back, they said got rid of monkeypox because nobody was falling for that stuff. Because one, we're not gay. Because your only protocol, unlike the protocol for COVID, we had 19,000 protocols. With monkeypox, you just couldn't rub your genitals on another human being. We were like, oh, well, we're not going to do that. You can't tell us what to do with our genitals here in America. And so they're like, okay, we reeled it back in. And then during the election cycle, they called it Mpox. And they took away monkey because they said the word monkey was racist. They're the racists. That's how stupid they are. Yeah. Anyway.
So Trump's going to the Super Bowl.
Trump's going.
I was watching Maggie Moo last night, and she said, what's more American than going to the Super Bowl? For Trump, he's the first president to go to a Super Bowl.
Is he?
Yeah,
he's the first. There is no possible way.
That's what I read that somewhere.
I might be wrong. Right
Look
now.
it up. Can you?
Trump's gone to a lot of games. I thought he'd gone to Super Bowl.
No, I think he's the first sitting president to go to a Super Bowl. I could be wrong. Correct me. Get in the chat and correct me. If I'm wrong.
Somebody fact check Steve. Party foul Steve. Fact checking. Maggie Moo is a man. That's what the trolls say. Megan Duthu. She texted me.
As of 2024, no sitting U.S. presidents have ever attended the Super Bowl.
Look, I got something right.
That's amazing. Because, I agree with you. I agree with you, though. The Super Bowl is inherently American. I can't believe that there's never been a president who's gone. You know, they got the fighter jets to fly over, the Eagle fly through the field, and the president's not there. Are you joking?
Now, I do believe that
That's crazy.
both national anthems are going to be played. So, both of them.
Oh, you talking
Both?
about
Are you talking?
The black national anthem and then the national anthem that's for everybody else. I can't think of something that's more segregating than that.
Well, what they'll tell
they
you
do
is
that?
That's not. Lift All Voices is what they sing, and they say, well, that's not a black national anthem. It's just something that honors black voices. The Lift All Voices.
But when you're highlighting one specific group of people, that's racist in itself.
Yeah.
That's like us saying, "Oh well, we made another one. We made a third one that's specifically for white people." Could you imagine? Oh, that makes me so mad.
You can't even say the word white power or back the white people or anything like that.
Miss White America.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay. All right, boys. Let's get out of here. We got any super chats on this thing? We'll read through them.
think
If
we do
got
have
a
Take that
couple of
dollar.
them. Let's see what we got.
We have one super chat. Come on, boys.
I like that reticulated chicken mom. I always have to watch later, but I have work to do myself. So today I tuned in to listen. Good show, of course. And since you have mentioned Graham always gets the super chats, here's the super chat.
Awesome. Thank you.
We get to eat. Maybe
$5.
tomorrow.
We can get half a meal at McDonald's.
Did you see where Roger Goodell speaking of that? Thank you very much, reticulated chicken mom.
Yes, thank you so much.
I'm gonna pin that. I'm gonna pin that.
Reticulated chicken mom.
I'm gonna pin that $5 bill right back here. $48 million of U.S. taxpayer money supposedly invested in Nigeria went to DAI Global. Oh wow, dude, I can't with all this stuff that's popping up. I'm reading Newsmax right here as I'm watching. Roger Goodell said that DEI is what makes the NFL great. Literally,
Absolutely no DEI in it. You can't get on that field and
what he
play
said
if you don't
yesterday.
have talent and meet a certain standard. Of
unless you
play.
own the Dallas Cowboys, then you
then
can
it
get
doesn't matter.
Yeah, you can.
That's
bring
the only
anybody.
place maybe DEI is.
Yeah. What is this? What is this? Ed Brown 70 says Party Foul Steve.
What's that? I can't.
Were you on the Ike 95?
Nope, I was already. I got out in '94, so
You were done. You were in what 91, 94?
I went through the Suez Canal in the USS Saipan, and that would have been 1990, 91, right there. So
Maybe Ed's been looking for you all these years.
maybe so.
But no, you weren't on the Eisenhower.
Nope. USS Saipan, which USS Saipan got cut up and chopped up, no longer exists.
I love seeing the DDD MMM in the chat. It's fantastic. KJ13.
I started all of that. I
Dirty
love it.
tit jabbing.
We're going to keep using that, by the way. Here's some money so Chad can get some Chinese takeout. Think you're not
Ooh,
woke.
no, he's not getting any Chinese takeout.
Today I started feeling a little bit better. So I had Hunan Jade from here in the Woodlands, Texas, and I get it a lot. I live alone, so I'm a DoorDasher, right? Sometimes I just don't want to be out and about.
I'm here 50% of the time, so I don't know how alone you are.
I go to other rooms and shut the door. But I
God bless
ordered
you
that
too,
Hunan
KJ.
Jade. They sent me the wrong thing, and I was like, I'm just gonna eat it anyway, right? Just gonna eat it anyway.
What was that last super chat? There was another one.
Yeah, there's a couple of them that are popular.
Yeah, I got it. Just God bless
Yeah,
you and thank you for
God
speaking
bless
the
you and
truth.
thank you very much, KJ.
Thank you.
And then I don't know if there's anything else, but
I think that's it.
I'm convinced that stuff made me a little ill. But I was, you know what, I said I would never eat it again, and then today I started to feel a little bit better, and I was like, you know what sounds pretty good? It's some Hunan Jade.
You eat a lot of Chinese food.
I don't know. I like
Is it because it's close
I
and
like Chinese
convenient,
food.
or
I like Chinese food. Which again,
I love it,
Chinese
but
people
you use a fork to eat? You use a fork to eat it. You should use chopsticks.
that's Japanese
get the
food.
culture.
That's
Now,
Japanese
hey, Chad,
food.
do you like sushi?
I love sushi.
Oh, Chad, when I eventually get over there, let's go out for
Yeah,
sushi.
of course. I'll take you to some of
We'll
the
have a
best.
steak day. We'll go and get big steaks.
Yeah.
And then another day, we'll have a
Benihana.
sushi day.
I am a restaurateur. I got all the
I
places.
love me some sushi, man. I love me some sushi.
I eat Japanese food with chopsticks. Chinese food, it's normally so bad for you though. But the reason I like it is because I went from 20 to 24 and didn't eat any Chinese food because of the COVID nonsense. And I don't know. So now I guess I'm making up.
Oh, that's
for
right.
it.
I remember now because we used to go to that in Burleson. We go to the Chinese
Man, you
buffet
can't tell
like every
everybody's
day.
secrets, bro. You can't be
He's
telling
a
everybody.
Chinese buffet eating. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, why don't you
He
shut
liked
up,
that
dude?
buffet.
Funny how somebody about to pull Steve's plug, man. DDD MMM. All right, guys. Make sure you hit like,
I've
hit
started
subscribe,
a movement.
hit share, all the stuff. Subscribe to my Rumble channel. Thank you for letting us hang out with us with you today. Every time I say it's going to be a short show, it's not. Try to keep it at
Never
an hour.
is. Never
And
is.
Party Foul Steve, you should see how Party Foul Steve is. He's got pillows under him, pillows behind him.
I do. It keeps me from sliding down in this chair.
That is the most
We'll
relaxed
just, let's
dude.
just install a seatbelt for that dude.
He is the most
Dude,
relaxed
right.
cat you have ever been around. So, all right, boys and girls, watchchad.com for all the fun stuff is. I'm headed to Oregon. I'll be in Klamath Falls for Valentine's Day, and then lots of other shows coming up. And, yeah, good stuff going on. Make sure you watch Hot Seat Todd and Brianna Morello, as well as Megan
New.
Duthu on the subject tonight. Royce, got anything?
DDD MMM.
DDD
So, yeah.
MMM. Follow at Royce Chamberlain on X, and of course
Do
Party
it.
Foul Steve at Party Foul Steve over on the gram on Instagram. All right, guys, we'll get back after tomorrow. I'll tell you what we're going to do tomorrow. We're going to do a little. This show's going to be a little bit earlier because Royce has got important things to do. So we'll do Dear America in the morning. We'll see if Graham's going to be with us. We don't know. He just sent us an awesome picture from where he is, which I'm like a little envious of him. But I'll just say this. If you jump on Fox News right now and you watch this little thing they're about to do between Pete Hegseth and Benjamin Netanyahu, you might see Graham in the room. I don't know. You might see Graham in the room. Graham gets invited to all the cool parties. All right, guys. We'll see you in the morning for Dear America. We love you. God bless you. Make sure you tell folks about the show. Let's have some good times. We'll talk to you then. Bye.